Hey folks, on this video on functions, we're going to go back through and formally turn our program where we made a ball bounce around the screen. We're going to make it formally use functions, and we want to take a look at everything we did and just break it down into its parts, put those into functions, and this will help take us into object-oriented programming afterwards. Um, what I have here is I just have our program loaded up, and this is something that we did together earlier in the year. And you can see this ball here is just bouncing around the screen. Um, and I'll just go through the parts with you. Right up top in 1 to 4, we're just declaring and initializing our variables. For everything we're going to do in this video, you want to keep everything really simple. Okay, don't do any weird speeds or anything like that. Just keep it like 1 and 1 or something. You can make it funky later and then really break some stuff and figure out what happens. Okay, in the setup, we're just getting the size. And then in the draw loop, you can see that I've got things kind of split apart based on what they do. Okay, and I'm going to go through how I've split these things apart with you. These are all the things that show up visually on the screen. Okay, even though background is separate because that's the whole canvas, and everything else is a visual part of the ball. Okay, and then here I've got these two lines. They're keeping track of the position of the ball as it changes with the velocity, and they're apart from everything else. And finally down here I have these few lines, 4 or so lines of code, and these are checking whether or not the ball has hit the edges. All right, and now what I want to do is I want to write a program that uses, let's see, 1, 2, 3 functions to run this program. And once I can do that, then I'll have a modular program where I can insert lots of objects or lots of things in here and make them bounce around and control them in cool ways. All right, so that's my goal right now, is to make this modular and reusable. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'm going to go outside of the draw, and I'm going to make a new function that I'll just say void, and I'll call it move. And I don't want to have it take any parameters. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these lines that control the ball actually moving, and I'm going to put them right in this function. All right, and now I have a function that says move, and these lines are in here. Okay, and now what I'll do is I'll make another function. I'll do it in the same order. I'm going to call it display. And this function I want to handle all of the things that display the ball. So I'll take those and I'll put them right there. Okay. So now I have, let's see, now I just have to take all this conditional stuff that checks whether or not the ball has hit the edges. And so what I'll do there is, let's see, check to see if it hits the edges. How about if we call that something like void edge checker. And I'll just take all this and I'll put it in there. All right, now I'm going to give it some space between our functions that we just made in the draw. And I'll close this and I'll run it again. All right, now these functions are good, they work, but nothing's happening here. This is a good time to pause it and think, why isn't anything happening on the screen right now? Give yourself about 10 seconds to think. Okay, 10 seconds. All right, I never called these functions, right? I haven't actually used them. I have defined them, but I haven't called them. So I need to actually call the functions. So I need to say display, and I need to say, let's see, what I say, move, and edge checker. Cool. And there we go. So I'm going to stop this for a second. And we can look at our program and what the draw loop is actually running. This is kind of neat. The draw loop's running these things. It's running a display, it's running a move, and it's running an edge checker. Right? And we could apply these to lots of different things. And we've made our code now much more modular and reusable. And that is good. Right? So we could take these functions and we're going to apply them to different things. Now my exercise for you is actually just to repeat this and just try and go through it on your own and start from that beginning point where we had just the ball bouncing around the screen and everything inside the draw.